All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody to our introduction to the FMEA Health and Wellness Committee. We are so excited to have you guys here with us today. This committee, we're just really excited that this committee was introduced to our association by Dr. Chipman. He reached out to us probably about a few months ago and kind of shared this idea that he had and this vision that he had to try to push our association forward and really make us the best versions of ourselves, especially considering the last 2 years that we've had. So we're all really grateful to be here and kind of put this into fruition. And today we're just going to talk about what we plan to do as a committee and what we hope to offer to our association. I'm going to start off. My name is Reve Douglas Ross, and I'm the band director at Brandon High School. I have been teaching here for 8 years, and the way that I've tried to include health and wellness in my personal life is by the past 2 or 3 years, I've been a part of Beachbody, and we have a guest here today that's going to talk a little bit more about that and as an opportunity to kind of include health and wellness in your life. But that has probably been my biggest thing and biggest help in my personal life, or how I have started to incorporate wellness for me as an educator.
Hi, hey everyone, my name is Charles Kelly and I'm currently the Associate Band Director at Freedom High School. And when I went to FMEA this year, I heard about FMEA wanting to start a health and wellness committee, and I heard that Reve was going to be starting it up, and I reached out to her at the end of the conference and just asked, like, how can I help with this committee? Because I grew up playing sports. I was that kid that did band and football and basketball and played baseball. And so always being active was a big part of my life growing up, and it just kind of continued into college and even into teaching. I actually coached basketball for a year while trying to balance being a band director. It was a little crazy, but I had a blast doing it, and I've just seen the impact it's been able to have on my life. And also with the other side of health and wellness, the mental health side of things, being okay with talking about going to therapy and making sure that people understand that that's a big, important aspect of our lives as teachers, being able to be mentally strong, to be able to go into the classroom. And so again, when I saw that Reve was going to be heading this up, I said, I want to help out with this, because I think that it takes people to be courageous to talk about these things in order to help encourage other people to see what that can do for their lives.
Hi guys, my name is Tosha. I work at Sawgrass Springs Middle School and Coral Glades High School. I'm doing orchestra at the high school and orchestra and chorus at the middle school. I was not an active kid. My world revolved around orchestra and playing my instruments. So also going to performing arts schools, my high school did not have any kind of sports offered to us. So the idea of working out or being active was not something at the forefront of my mind. I did have a slight health scare, I guess, in December, which made me change the way that I was living. So I have a new lifestyle, and a good chunk of you guys follow me on Facebook and Instagram. So you most likely saw all of the posts on Instagram of me working out and kind of just making myself better. I started doing CrossFit in 2019. A friend of mine who is here, thank you, definitely pushed me to join, and I did one class and I was hooked. And then from then on, I just continued as best as I could. Then I met Coach Paul, who's going to be a presenter today and speak to us briefly, and worked with him a bit, and he helped me improve my fitness as well. And I would definitely say being able to do all of this working out, or that working out and changing my health habits and whatnot, it helped me as well mentally, because I felt good about myself. I felt good about the way I was looking. And I am incredibly grateful for all of that I was able to do.
So at our first meeting, we were all sitting there and we were trying to figure out, where do we take this committee? What do we do? Because it's never been a part of FMEA. I mean, we have a bunch of directors around the state that are very active and they show all these things, and they're great supporters of not just physical health, but also mental health. And so we were like, well, we need to create a mission statement so that way going forward, whoever becomes a part of this committee understands what we're all about. I'm not going to read it word for word, but just understand that our ultimate goal in that last sentence is, as a committee, is to bring more awareness to the mental and physical health for all of the colleagues. It's not just for band directors, it's for choir directors, it's for elementary teachers, it's for orchestra directors, it's for everyone. And Dr. Chipman in one of our conversations was just talking about how we have to be able to give 100% every day to our students. And in order to be able to do that, we have to be able to take care of ourselves, and just being able to bring more things to the table for all of the colleagues here is really, really what we're here for. And just like you'll see in a minute with our two guests, we're not licensed physicians, we're not licensed nutritionists. And so we're going to be able to bring people in to talk. Like, that's our number one job, is to bring people in who are licensed to do those things, to talk about those ideas with us. And we have a couple more things that Reve will share with you as far as what we want to also bring to the table as a committee.
All right. So we will have opportunities for you all to speak with us, to share any kind of ideas that you might want to see. We have an Instagram page, which is listed right there on the PowerPoint. You can join and share your ideas, send us messages on there. We will do Instagram lives occasionally, probably most likely having a guest and just discussing different things. Then you can find information. We should have a tab populating very soon on the FMEA website. And you'll be able to look for wellness and then find different articles and whatnot on that page. We will have articles published in the Florida Music Directors magazines as well. So you can look for those in the magazine. We have a QR code that you can do a survey and fill that out and put as many ideas or as many things in the survey that you would like us to cover as a committee, so that we can address everyone's needs. You can do the same thing for the Instagram page. So ideas might be balancing work life. Let's say that you're a newlywed, trying to balance family life, if you're a new mother or expectant, balancing that and work at the same time. Any kind of physical fitness, nutrition, we can do recipes, meal prep ideas, all of that, or anything that just comes to mind. Put it in the survey or just send us a message on Instagram or email us, and we will try to get that to you via Instagram, the website, and our webinars as well.
Yeah, so along with the things that Tosha just listed, we are also really looking forward to, as she said, webinars like the ones we're doing today. We will hopefully have guests to come speak, but also guests to come do workouts with us. For those of you that were at the FMEA convention back in January, if you were in, I think it was the second general session, we had a guest from Tallahassee. He was a business owner of iFitness, I think, or iConquer Fitness. And he came and did a live interactive workout with the entire association. It was awesome. It was unlike anything we'd ever seen before. And it was just a really good time because we were all together. And so as a committee, we really hope that we can try to bring that togetherness more for the association, because a lot of times I think it's just strange when, if this is something that's new and you're not really used to introducing wellness or really thinking about it or health into your life, it can be overwhelming, especially when you're trying to do it alone. So we think that it'll be something that will be easier for all of us if we're doing it together as an association. So we want to provide opportunities for things like that. Something that we're really looking forward to is we are in the beginning workings of getting, it says 5K, but it's actually going to be a 3K at the next FMEA convention in January, right down there by, by the Riverwalk, right by the convention center. We're really excited about that. And that'll be an opportunity, the first opportunity for us to all come together as an association, and you'll be able to walk or run or however you want to do it. But we're just excited for a good time for us to all be able to do that together. Along with that, we're hoping to introduce some yoga sessions during the FMEA convention as well, to bring us all together and get active and get moving together. Those are just a couple of examples of things that we want to do. We hope that it kind of grows into more, but as I said before, I think a lot of the things that we're going to try to implement are to just make us feel like a community. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in work and school and, fatigue. It's hard to make time for those things. But again, I think it's a lot easier when we are together as a community and supporting one another.
All right. So we are going to have Coach Paul Behar speak to us briefly on nutrition and physical wellness.
Howdy, everybody. So my name's Paul, Coach Paul, and just going to give you guys a little bit of a background about myself. I coach Olympic weightlifting at the high school and adult and kid level at the national and international level. I also coach CrossFit at the international level, as well as regular CrossFit classes. And part-time, I actually work also at like an Orange Theory Fitness, working with just about everybody. It's pretty cool. We have classes that start at 5 a.m. That's where just about all my teachers are. So I pretty much get like 10, 15 teachers at 5 a.m. And then a couple administrators at 6 a.m. They get to go to work a little later than the rest of us. So it's like, right. Outside of that, I do personal training and stuff like that with just about everybody. I own a gym as well as working part-time at that gym. And been working, let's see, maybe 6 years by now, 6 years in fitness. Before that, I was a music educator. So I taught music for 10 years before getting into fitness, and I've been doing fitness now about 6. So it's been good. I'm going to kind of start with the exercise part. After we'll talk about the nutrition a little bit. So exercise. Exercise for me is any way that you're moving your body throughout the day. So as band directors and as just like general moving around, we're doing a lot of exercise on a daily basis that we're probably not like accounting for. It's like every single time that my mom goes like, hey, like, could you just come over and, put the bulb in, it'll be your exercise for the day. I'm like, oh man, that's going to be an exercise for sure. Right. But it's really is like that, like we are actually moving our bodies in a lot of strenuous ways. Now, the way that I kind of like put 2 and 2 together as far as that goes is when you do go to a gym, things are a little bit more, what's the word for it? Stable, solid concrete, whereas you're moving things that are odd objects like couches or chairs and desks and stuff. And those things are very like weird, awkward objects. When you do go to a gym, you're able to use these objects that are meant for increasing your physical abilities, right? So learning how to move weights and move different things with certain techniques is a good way to make sure that you're not getting hurt or make sure that you're moving things more efficiently in all of that daily activity that you're already doing. So that's kind of like my general thought about exercise. From there, we kind of go into like, all right, well, there's a lot of different types of exercises. There's like CrossFit and there's running and there's Orange Theory and there's cycle bar and there's Olympic weightlifting and all these like different kind of things. And the best thing about it is that just about every single place has super early classes, super late classes, and free classes. So just about anywhere that you can go, whenever you're starting that exercise and you have your head in that thing of like, okay, I want to try exercising, you go and you can sign up and get a free week just about anywhere, right? So just about anywhere and any type of thing. And from there, the most important thing about exercise is that it's fun. It's something that you enjoy. It's something that you look forward to doing. So if you go to a CrossFit and you're like, wow, this is not what I like, no, like not for me. Great. Buy CrossFit, go somewhere else, go to an Orange Theory, drop in there, try their week of classes, hopefully just about everybody can get that in their schedule as far as like the classes that are listed at most of these places. And most of these places have classes that are going to be convenient for just about anybody from 5 a.m. until 8 o'clock at night. After, like finding something that you really enjoy, like there you go. You can go and you can do that. You can get started with that. If you're gonna stay doing things on your own, then things are always really simple. And there's always like super cool organizations, kind of like what we're starting here, with FMEA that like we can put things together and start having a plan for doing things like even events and stuff like that. So that's generally what I think about exercise. Then moving on from there, we kind of like think about nutrition a little bit. So, oh man, starting nutrition always is so overwhelming. It's so much. It's just so much. Okay, so I'm a licensed nutritionist. First things first, you don't eat enough. Like we're all so busy. We're all like going here, waking up at 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. and like driving here and then doing this in the middle of the day. And it's like, we just don't eat enough. And it's like, wait, but I want to lose weight. You're telling me that I'm not eating enough, but I want to lose weight. And it's like, yes, like that's exactly what I'm telling you, right? So we'll break it down. There's like three main nutrients, right? So we'll start with proteins, right? Like 70% of Americans are not eating enough protein and 98% of statistics are made up, right? So most of you guys are not eating enough protein. All right. So like kind of like a daily recommendation, you can do it a couple different ways. 3 times a day, if you eat a piece of protein the size of your fist, now like not like just the whole mass of the fist, like the entire, not just like the surface area, right? Like 3 times a day, if you're eating something that's the size of your fist, like a piece of chicken or a piece of eggs or something, like, but not eggs, like you lay them flat, got to be like 4 of them, to get that full size. Okay. 3 times a day. And it's like pretty much simple as that, right? Making like I said, it can get overwhelming. You can just go deeper and deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole. It's like, I don't know, sevenths. Anyway, from there, you could say 3 times a day that you're doing 30 grams of protein. So if you read the back of a food label or the back of like one of these protein shakes or something like that, you see a protein bar and it has like 10 grams of protein. Well, like, wait a second, that might not be the best advertising. That might not actually be a protein bar, right? So if you guys are looking at food labels and stuff, and like I said, the most simple thing to do is just start by like trying to look at protein. I'll tell you guys a couple more reasons why protein is the best one to look at. But we're starting with that, 3 servings of something that's the size of your hand or 3 servings of 30 grams, reading 30 grams on any type of food label or a couple of foods put together, like a bagel and a yogurt. There you go. So the main reason for protein, right? As protein is just like pretty much the most important one. That's why I'll definitely take a lot of time on that one. Protein keeps you full. Protein sustains all of your muscular growth, all your muscular like systems. Protein will slightly energize you. It's not as much. We'll get to the next part. But from there, if you're eating that, right, protein produces a hormone called ghrelin, right? And this hormone causes us to want to eat carbs. Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff, right? So carbs, that's like my favorite, okay? If you're eating protein this size, you're eating carbs that size, and it's that simple, right? Like a piece of chicken and a piece of rice. And I'm Cuban, so it's like this piece of chicken and this whole thing of rice. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's pretty good, right? It was like this much protein, this much rice. Like, great. Okay. And the hormonal balance, when you're focusing on eating that protein, if you're really focusing on eating that, then you're going to just find that you're not eating like as much of the whole plate of rice, maybe like most of it, but like, try to like portion size it a little bit. So if you guys are really focusing on eating that protein 3 times a day, for males, sometimes, like 4 times a day is great, 30 grams or the size of your hand, then the carbs are kind of just going to go hand in hand, right? Once we have that as our meals, then we kind of get to like snacks and things throughout the day. So everything here is like, make it as simple as possible. Protein shakes, fruits and vegetables, easy snacks, right? Like whole foods are better. Food is better. Wait, let me say it again. Food is better. Whole foods are better, right? Like eat the food first, right? Make sure that it's like the right foods first. And then if you can make higher quality foods happen, then that's going to be even better. But it's like step 1 is just trying to get it in ourselves in the first place and get the right quantities, From there, it's like, okay, let's try to get organic. Let's try to get grass-fed. Let's try to increase the quality of our food. But step 1 is always just going to be modifying our diet to kind of just eat the right way a little bit. So there's one last one, right? So there's fats. Fats most of the time will take care of themselves unless you're doing the most fun thing ever, which is having lots of cheat meals, right? So there's a couple of things there, right? It's like, okay, well, first of all, desserts and cheat meals and all that kind of stuff, they're going to come generally with a lot of fats, right? And it's like if you eat really well throughout the weekend or throughout the week, and then on the weekend you eat a ton of these cheat meals, like whatever happens is kind of average it out into this like overall kind of not that great diet, right? So overall, right, nutrition, like I said, is very complicated. It's so overwhelming. Eat protein, easy, number one. Eat the same amount of carbs as protein, easy, number two. Try to make things simple. Try to eat 30 grams, reading a food label and eating foods that you like that are simple, like 3 steps, right? From there, you're probably working out somewhere by now, right? Because like we already talked about that like a long time ago, right? You already did like 3 classes here and 3 classes there, and it's like, man, like, and you're surrounded by all these super cool people that are already doing this, like myself, like Jackie, like you're already surrounded by all these cool people. It's like now everything starts to make sense. Like even though it sounds like so much all at one time, by the time that you just start somewhere, go to a class, eat, read a couple food labels. By the time that you get that started, you'll realize that you're a lot farther than you think you are. Man, I love fitness. It's so fun. I love music too. It's also so fun. I think that mostly covers like what I had really thought about, you know, like starting somewhere is just always the most important thing. It's super cool to have a group like this that's helping everybody to get together and support each other. And once you get going, like, man, just find the funnest thing you like to do, find the foods you like to eat, and that's about all I got. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, I think he's 1000% right. Just from my personal experience, the hardest part is it's getting started, especially when you're battling fatigue. And a lot of times we pour ourselves into our profession, into our students, into our ensembles, and it can be exhausting sometimes, but that is why our next guest is going to talk about work-life balance and how important it is and how necessary it is, because at the end of the day, if we can't pour into ourselves, there's no way that we can pour into our students to our full potential. And I think that that's important. And I'd argue that all of us agree that they deserve that. So I'm super excited to welcome our next guest. She is actually my Beachbody coach. She's the one who introduced me into Beachbody and has kind of coached me through that and introduced that into my life. And she's also was an amazing band director in the county that I am from, Hillsborough County. So please help me welcome Jackie.
Oh, thank you, Hervé. You're so sweet. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I, like Paul, I'm very passionate about fitness. I love the whole space. I think it is so important for us to take care of our mind and our bodies. And I want to share with you guys where it kind of came from, because I want to reiterate that, like, I am a real person. I am not like perfect. I'm not a unicorn. This takes time, and everything Paul was saying is 100% true. It is so overwhelming, everything out there when it comes to health and fitness, and what do you choose and where do you start and where do you go? For me, it was Beachbody, you know, but it doesn't have to be for everybody. I just found at the time that's what I needed, was at-home fitness. I needed to be home with my kids. And I started out, I was about 200 pounds. By the way, I was a band director for 10 years before I came home to be a stay-at-home mom. And I immediately, after having my son, recognized that my body was very unhealthy. But then it was like, it seemed like the next day I was pregnant with my daughter. I had my kids within a year and a half of each other, and it was a lot. So I didn't recognize who I was at the end. And, you know, who I was even before becoming a rundown mom was a burnt out band director. I mean, that's kind of my MO, is like just burnout galore. Like, let's just go all in with everything and never worry about yourself. And that's how I always have operated as a band director, as a wife, as a mom. I am always just giving to everybody else. But I never had any energy. I never felt like I had any time to spend on myself. I was always go all over the place and always skipping meals. Like, when he said that, when he was just talking about that, I was like, yes, that was me. Like, I would literally wake up in the morning at 5 a.m. and it would be until after school practice when I would have my first meal of the day. Like, that is no lie. And I'm sure that some of you on here, you know, it's just priorities, you know, you're working through lunch, whatever, and that just happens. And then of course the scale is going to go up and down, or always up. I was never very heavy when I was a band director, but it was because I didn't eat, not because I was healthy. My energy was nil. But I definitely wish I had something like this before when I was a band director, because I definitely didn't go to bed on time. So these are the things that I think about when I think about improving energy throughout the day. And yeah, my topic is work-life balance, but honestly, you can't have a good work-life balance without pouring into certain aspects of your health, right? So if you don't feel good all the time, if you have no energy all the time, then how are you going to show up for your students? How are you going to show up for, if you have kids, for your spouse, for your friends, right? So we need to improve our energy first and foremost. So go to bed on time, get off your phone, okay? Stop taking work home with you. Turn off the television. Like if you wake up at 5 a.m. like I do, you need to be asleep by 9:30 p.m. Like that has to be a non-negotiable. Like you have to prioritize bedtime and you have to prioritize sleep. Coffee and soda. I used to live off of coffee and soda. I would have 2 cups in the morning, usually Dunkin' Donuts on the way to work with a ton of creamer, and then I would drink Diet Cokes all day long. And you think that it's giving you energy, but I promise you it is deteriorating your energy slowly over time, and it's making you completely dependent on this caffeine that really just makes you super anxious throughout the day and you don't even realize it. Change that to water, okay? Like a cup of coffee in the morning, there's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, I actually stopped drinking coffee recently, and I suffer from chronic low back pain. I have had low back pain most of my life. And when I stopped drinking coffee, my anxiety went away, like my weight went down. I mean, I'm not overweight now, but like my waist got smaller, and I just feel so much better. I have so much more energy. So consider drinking water throughout the day. You should be drinking half your body weight in ounces of water every single day, okay? Recognize when you're burnt out and take a freaking break, okay? Like we have these, you know, days of the year that we can use for personal days. Like, and yes, we have had a lot going on in the past 2 years and all of these things. But if you have those extra vacation days, go on vacation with your spouse, take a day off and spend it with your kids. Like do something for you, you know, or go home after school and don't stick around and wait for those kids who want to come and practice in your room. Kick them out and go home, you know, and recognize that you need the break. And then prioritizing exercise. Again, what Paul said is 100% true. It's not always easy to prioritize something that you are not familiar with, that you've definitely struggled to start in the past, but you got to make time for it. It's so important. So you definitely cannot, oh, I skipped all the way to the end. I was like, what is happening? Okay, here we go. So improving health and weight, everything that he said is true also. Veggies most, okay? So if you can get those veggies in, that's gonna help fill you up. And veggies have protein too, you know? So definitely prioritize vegetables on your plate. Like half the plate should be vegetables. Sugar, dairy, red meat, just get less of that. If every single meal is including like cheese and yogurt and, you know, all of those things that really don't sometimes help your gut health, I would highly recommend getting those down. And sugar is so addictive. So if you're constantly grabbing for sugar, there is a reason for that. It's because you're constantly grabbing for sugar, right? It creates that addiction. Go for real food, right? So he touched on this a little bit too, just real food, real chicken, real, you know, rice, you know, cauliflower, broccoli, like real vegetables and fruit rather than prepackaged meals. And try to take some time to just prep a little bit of your food. I like to prep some chicken in my air fryer on Sunday. I cook some quinoa, I cook some rice. Sometimes I'll cut up all of my onions and my bell peppers and I'll put them in a bag and then saute those with like my breakfast, you know, have eggs in the house always, you know, just have a thought about what you're going to eat throughout the week. It doesn't mean that every single meal has to be made in advance. And really try to think about having breakfast. I know that that's hard for some of us, but breakfast is so important. It is the most important meal of the day. It's my favorite meal of the day. So try to get that in every single day. Definitely with mental health, definitely consider saying no to things. You know, like if somebody asks you to volunteer for something and you're like, sorry, I can't do that, you know, it's okay. Like you are a human being and sometimes you need to, you know, have a break. Wake up a little earlier, you know, maybe consider setting your alarm for like if you wake up at normally 6, maybe 5. I wake up every day at 5, and that's because I want to get my workout in immediately. I literally throw on my gym clothes, go to my patio, bang out my workout before my kids even wake up in the morning. And that's what I've been doing for the past 4 years. And it really works for me because I pour into myself before my kids even wake up in the morning, before they even open their eyes. Meditation is great, you know, gratitude and positivity journal, just like every single day, reminding yourself why you want to stay on this journey. Ask for help, you know, seek out a health professional or somebody who is in this space already. You know, like he was saying too, you're surrounded by people who are doing like things, you're going to have a like-minded mind. So get into those classes, sign up with a coach, do something that you're going to have a lifeline for, and leave the work at school. You don't have to bring that home with you. That just creates so much stress. So just remember, you cannot pour from a cup that you didn't fill. So if your energy is very low, you need to do things to get that energy back up. Great habits are built day by day, not like, you know, not over like a whole entire, you know, year. You can't pile on all of these habits all at once and expect yourself to stick to that over the long run. One little thing at a time, like just upping your water intake or just starting an exercise routine, like just one thing at a time. Don't think about starting over every Monday. Everybody does this, but like I'm going to do it on Monday. I'm going to start on Monday. Start tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. So what? Start tomorrow. And yes, you can do it through the weekend. You can have a cheat meal on Saturday, but the rest of the meals on Saturday are good meals, right? You don't have to have a whole cheat weekend every single weekend. You're not going to get to your goals that way. Set realistic expectations. I always say that we over plan our days and under plan our years. And isn't that true, right? Like imagine next year at that 3K that Reve was talking about, that you could like jog that the entire time, because I know that 4 years ago I would have never been able to do that, and now I would freaking crush it. But that's because I prioritize my fitness and I prioritize my goals. And if you can set realistic expectations for the entire year, you're definitely going to be well on your way to feeling better.
Thank you, Jackie, so much. That was so helpful. Thank you, Jackie, and Coach Paul. Yeah, so many helpful tips in there. So thank you guys both for joining us. And we'll have a little bit of time at the end here for a couple of questions, but we just want to go back to our slide. Charles.
Yeah, so on the screen, if you're watching this on your laptop, we put up a QR code for everyone to fill out. It is only 3 questions, and we'd love for you to do that. If you're not able to do this on your laptop, I'm putting the link to this survey. It is an anonymous survey, so we're not going to know what questions you might have or what topics you want us to cover, just so that way you might feel a little more comfortable with letting us know about all the topics that you want our committee to look into or look for professionals to come in and talk about, just like we did tonight with Coach Paul and with Jackie. And they both had so many great things to say. And for me, the biggest takeaway is just that it's not something that's going to change potentially overnight. It's going to be something that we all chip away at together, and on a daily basis we're just trying to get better so that way we can do more with the people around us. And one of the things that Jackie said is, and I mean I heard it in my head myself, is she said leave the work at home, and it's so hard to do that. But if we do that, we are prioritizing our mental health and our physical health, so that way we can better serve the people that are in our family and the students, because we're giving ourselves a chance to recharge our batteries. And that was one of the biggest things that, like, when we all got together was, when the committee got together for the first time, was talking about like what are the hot button topics that we hear a lot of our friends talking about. And that's one of those hot button topics of, do you bring work home, or do you stay at school longer to make sure that everything gets done? And I know that one of my mentors always told me that there's always going to be work on your to-do list. There's always going to be something to do, and the days aren't going to get longer. There's only 24 hours in every day. There's only 7 days in a week, and there's only 365 days in a year. And I mean, I know that looking forward into the future of this career, I want to, when I retire, not to be wishing that, man, I wish I had had more time to spend with my family. Instead, I want to be able to say, like, I still got to see my kids grow up eventually when I have kids. I got to have a functional relationship with my family. I got to have a great relationship with my wife and my amazing dogs. But it can be tricky, which is a big reason why we want to be able to have this committee and have these real life conversations that are difficult to have in our profession right now. And thank you to Dr. Chipman for making this a big thing. I saw that he joined in, and just wanted to thank him for approaching Reve about starting up this committee, because I really do think that this is going to help a lot of people out in our association.
Charles, you can start talking about our interactive event while I get my life together.
Oh, yeah. So like we said, we are going to be doing some Instagram live events or Zoom events. We haven't decided which platform we're going to use for this one, but on May 18th, we're going to have our first interactive event, meaning it might be a workout. It might be one of us actually doing a live cook along session, like Coach Josh was talking about. And Jackie was talking about as far as just real foods go. And it's not going to be a glorious Food Network production if we decide to do that, but it's just going to be something fun to show that, you know, these things don't take up a ton of time. And we all, Reve, Tosha, and myself, that's one thing that we all talked about that we do as far as meal prepping for the week and finding the easy ways of being able to get everything done in a timely manner. So that way we're not slaving over in our kitchen for 5 hours out of the day. I mean, I know for me, meal prep takes me an hour, and it gets me my breakfast, my lunch, and my dinner for all 5 days of the week. And I leave Saturday and Sunday up to whatever Saturday and Sunday brings. But unless someone shows you that, you don't actually know how quick and what little tips and tricks are out there to make that process go a little bit quicker.
Hey, everybody, I gotta go coach. So
Thank you.
I gotta go do that stuff. All right. Thanks so much for having me, and hope to see y'all soon. Have a great night, everybody.
We've actually pretty much reached the end of our presentation. Like we said in the beginning, we just wanted to take an opportunity before the school year ended to share with everybody what the plan was for the committee. It is brand new, but after sharing what we did, does anybody have any questions for us before we close out? Or for Jackie? I think you might be able to unmute if you do. Or the chat is fine. All right, well, thank you all so much. Again, thank you, Jackie and Coach Paul, for being our guest speakers for this webinar. Please be on the lookout for all of the things that we're going to be sharing through the website and on the Instagram. And we hope that you guys all have a great rest of your week.